CBN News' David Brody traveled with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to Kuwait and then here to Jerusalem, where Brody and I had an exclusive interview with America's top diplomat. We asked him about the peace plan, Syria, and if he thought God raised up President Trump for such a time as this to help the Jewish people.
Secretary Pompeo, thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
It's great to be with you.
Great to be with you again.
The Western Wall, I was there with you. What was that experience like? I mean, how impactful was something like that?
So I'd been there before, but this was incredibly special to be there with Israeli Prime Minister and the ambassador from the United States to Israel. Was really an important moment. It was special for me as a Christian. And it was special, I think, to show the commitment the United States has to this democracy, this Jewish nation of Israel.
Speaking of that, you talked yesterday, you talked about being a man of faith. We know you're a man of faith. You talked about that yesterday. And I'm wondering about that apex between Israel and Christianity and the Bible coming alive in this land. Can you talk about that a little bit and what that's all about, the relationship between the two?
So here we are in Jerusalem, the city that's so important to all three Abrahamic religions. Certainly, I was at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre as well. I got to see, that was the second time I had a chance to do that in my life. As a Christian, to go to that place that is so fundamental to the things you believe is just a very special thing. And at the same time, I'm the Secretary of State, tasked with defending the Constitution, supporting the President in his mission to keep our nation safe and to keep Israel safe. It's really quite something to be here and have this opportunity to travel to a place like the Western Wall with all its history. We had a chance to go down and see some of the tunnels, the excavation that's been done there as well. That history reminds you of the history of the Jewish people here on this land. It reminds you of all of the rich religious traditions here in this place and how special Jerusalem really is. It makes you even more proud of the decision President Trump made to designate this and to show that this is truly the capital of Israel.
And that happened just over a year ago when they...
It seems like a long time ago.
I know, and making history. And a lot of evangelicals and Israelis were ecstatic about moving the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. But some are concerned about what might happen or what price they might pay in the peace plan that's upcoming right now. And so they're concerned about that. What can you do to allay their fears of something like dividing Jerusalem in the upcoming peace plan?
So I've seen the details of the plan as it stands now. I'm sure there'll be things moved just a bit as time goes on. But evangelicals of the world should know that this is a vision for what might ultimately lead to this resolution of this conflict. I think we all want a better life for the Palestinian people. We want a path where the Palestinians and the Israelis aren't in conflict. That would be good for the region, good for Jerusalem, good for the world. And I think this plan presents a vision for that, but doesn't sacrifice any of these core principles, frankly, of any of the faiths.
As we do rapid fire, let's move to the United States for a moment and anti-Semitism and the Democrats. They seem embroiled in this. There was I don't want to say a veiled shot, not that it was a shot, but at Ilhan Omar, about the bigotry and the anti-Semitism inside the halls of Capitol Hill. How concerned are you about the rise of not just anti-Semitism around the world, but in that Democrat Party as well?
To see this from a member of Congress like Congresswoman Omar I talked about this being dark. The rise of anti-Semitism in the United States and in Europe and frankly all across the world is something that is deeply troubling. And to see someone, a duly elected congressman, behave in that way, to speak about anti-Semitism in that way is of great concern. It's great concern to me. This administration speaks the truth. And anti-Semitism is unacceptable in any form from anyone, but to see it come from one of America's leaders is just abhorrent.
Mr. Secretary, back here in the Middle East, you're heading to Lebanon, the last leg of your trip, and yet Lebanon is dominated in many ways by Hezbollah with maybe more than 100,000 rockets, building tunnels into the northern Galilee and setting up a military infrastructure on the Golan Heights, or trying to anyway. What can you do and the U.S. do to reduce this threat to Israel and to into Lebanon itself?
Well, it's a great question. That's certainly part of my mission when I travel to Lebanon. It's unfortunate. For the last decade, under the previous administration, Hezbollah was permitted to grow its capabilities, to grow its resources, almost unchecked, and to seep its way in to Lebanese politics. The Lebanese people don't want that. They deserve better. This is a nation with a rich, deep tradition And so our mission, the reason I'm going there is to show them what America is prepared to do to help, to push back against the threat from Hezbollah, to tell them that getting anywhere near Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, is of great risk to their nation, and then to work on some of the security aspects of the relationship as well, to make sure they understand the threat that Hezbollah's military power inside of Lebanon poses to that entire country.